Welcome to Institute for Veterans and Military Families monthly webinar series. Today we're going to have an Accenture quarterly series. My name is Mirza Tihic. I'm the Director of Program Support Services, and we are blessed to have today Dr. Paul Taylor as our presenter. Dr. Taylor holds a Master's of Pastoral Counseling and has a Doctor of Theology degree from the Spirit of Truth Institute, as well as a Doctor of Christian Philosophy in Divinity degree from the Institute for Christian Works Bible College and Seminary. He has over 10 years of experiences in general office management and is currently a location service representative site lead at Accenture. In 2011, Dr. Taylor and his wife founded Living Water Evangelistic Ministries, a multifaceted ministry that utilizes multimedia to offer platforms for motivational speaking, inspirational writing, live interviews, and teachings on the subjects of family and relationships. And today, Dr. Taylor will talk about your professional image. Dr. Taylor, thank you for being with us, and welcome.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I'm really excited to be here. I'd like to say hello to everybody that has tuned in with us on this day. We're going to get right to the actual lesson that I have to present to you today. And it's, of course, talking about the U.S. corporate citizenship and how we're going to really talk about the workplace and some of the things you could probably use in your dress for success. One of the things I've learned over years is that you always dress for the position you desire to be in. And that way you're always reaching upward and forward to your destiny. First of all, let's take a look here as we move to the first page here where it talks about dress for success, dealing with the job aid. We want to talk about how you always want to dress in a business formal for an interview. In other words, you want to have a nice suit and a tie, collaborated shirts, closed-toed shoes as well. And you want to make sure that you're presentable because when you go, the first impressions are always lasting. And so you always want to give a good impression when you first meet the person who's going or the company who's going to interview you as well. You want to ensure that the clothes are without stains, a fraying, or any type of holes or anything like that. Just make sure, again, that it's presentable. And you want to ensure that your fingernails are clean and shortened to the proper length and without distracting, chipped, polished, or anything like that, so that everything is presentable and you're giving a good presentation, even in your nonverbal expressions or even how you carry yourself and your appearance as well. You want to avoid perfume or cologne. Sometimes the perfume or the cologne the person could be allergic to that, and you just want to make sure that it doesn't irritate a person's allergies that they may have. You want to carry gum or mints, but you want to make sure that you use that when needed, but not during the actual interview. You want to make sure that it's not in your mouth so that you're able to speak clearly as well. You want to make sure that your makeup, that it's natural and that it's classic. Again, it's not too much of an overage of that as well during your presentation of yourself as well as talking and communicating. You want to shave or neatly trim your facial hair also. And of course, do not show off your tattoos or anything like that on your skin. You want to make sure all that is properly covered. Again, of course, you're presenting everything about yourself that's positive, that you want to let the company know that you are the one that they would like to hire and that they would want to let them investing in you. Okay, if you could turn to the next page, please. And also, as you come, you want to make sure that your shoes should be shined or polished. And of course, you want to make sure that's done before you come there, as well as make sure your pants are ironed properly as you go there as well. You want to avoid any crazy printed ties or shirts, any loud colored ties. You want to make sure that that is presentable as well. Always wear a belt in your interviews as well. Always wear an undershirt or t-shirt and ensure no chest hair is showing during that time as well. You can turn to the next page, please. Also, during your interview, you may look and take a look at your pants and make sure that your pants should be creased and tailored and should not be too tight or too flowing. Always remember that as well as you represent, because the way you dress and as you make an appearance when you first come in there, you want to let the company know that you clearly understand that you are representing or it's a high probability that you will be representing that company, and how you dress on the first day. Make sure that the skirts should come at least to the knees while standing, so it's presentable as well. You want to wear flats or low heel shoes during your interview, as well as your outfit, to accommodate that as well. You want to keep accessories classic and understated, okay, as well. And wear an appropriate undergarments and hosieries as well during your interview during that time. You want to make sure that you avoid sheer or thin fabrics that may be seen through an uncertain light as you move through the office, or even after the actual interview, or on your way being escorted to the actual place to where you'll be employed. You want to make sure that everything, again, is not too revealing during the time, and your attire and how you wear. Ensure hair is neatly combed or pulled back. That's very important as well as you prepare to present in the workplace. Again, there's the overall individual and how your dress code, make sure that you meet those requirements as well. Again, that there's an appearance. As we look at the next page, one of the things I definitely want to encourage that you do, and it's a term, it says here, know your company. Make sure that you do all of the research about the company itself, when the company was founded, what the philosophy of the company is. Know the company's uniform. Know the company's uniform and how the company and the employees themselves present themselves. A lot of times that's through your background study and research of the company, and you can look at how the executives, how the employees, how they handle themselves, how they dress. You want to know the company's definition of professional attire. Of course, when there's the dress down day, you want to look there and see what type of attire do they wear on the dress down day. And of course, you can see that you want to know the company's definition of business casual. It does not mean sloppy. It means business casual, meaning that what you wear on the casual days is still business, because you may have to entertain clients during that day of your business casual day, or you may have a visitor that comes in. You may have various executives that may come in or may be in town for that particular day and may want to tour the office or may want to meet some other personnel there. So you always want to be ready and prepared to entertain clients or present and represent the company as well. Next page, please. And as we look at this, and as you know your company, and as you understand your company, you want to make sure that you know, like I said, the company's uniform. That is so very important, that you understand the company's uniform, and know and let the various employees know, or the executives know, that you are representing well during that time. Or even if you're asked questions about the company, you want to make sure that you are clear on answering those questions. Next page, please.
Oh, that's the end of the slideshow.
Okay. So I know I moved pretty quickly there, and as I think about that, I want to be able to entertain some questions, because during the time of interviewing, and the question I want to really present there and talk about is, when you study, you prepare yourself for the actual company, and doing this, you want to make sure that you understand the vision or the direction of where the company is going as a whole, so that you can be clearly well informed before you go there to the actual location, the place of employment. One of the things that I've always done, and this is kind of just some little advice, I would always do a dry run to make sure I understand where the company is, my traveling, how to get there, and what's the best way to travel there, so that when the next day comes, I understand what I need to do and where I need to go so that I can be there. I would encourage to be there at least maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes early, so you can get relaxed, get settled in, and take a deep breath and be ready to interview. Make sure that you're presentable. Kind of, ladies, of course, ladies, you may want to go to the powder room there and check yourself out, make sure everything is okay there. But at this time, I would like to entertain any questions that you may have. Hopefully I didn't move too fast through this particular session. Are there any questions that anyone may have about anything that I've said, especially about knowing your company? Are there any questions at this time?
Jim, are there also any questions on the YouTube or Google Plus?
I'm not
Okay.
seeing any questions right now. I'm just keeping an eye out. We'll give it a minute or so for people.
I could
Okay,
ask a question. How does this, you talk about being professional and then job interviews and everything else, but this can also relate to entrepreneurs, right? When they go meet suppliers, when they meet bankers, potential investors, and so on, right?
that is correct. That is correct. And one of the things, because the company that I work for, Accenture, we deal with a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, as well as contractors. That we may win contracts and we may do third-party hiring and things of that nature. And so, you always are interacting with people that have that type of approach when it comes to business as well. Very entertaining. One of the things that I do with Accenture, it's called the New Joiners class. And I usually do presentations there where we have maybe 60 to 70 people that are, some are college interns, some are coming back for the summer to work, some are coming back from the intern status coming on as permanent Accenture employees. And so we have an opportunity to really explain to them and welcome them to the company and sharing with them various things and activities that they can be a part of, as far as the facilities, making sure they understand where to go, what to do. They understanding the whole process of the hoteling. We're able to share that with them as well to help them transition well into the company with Accenture. And of course, the technology piece is very important with our company as well. And so there are things that you may see when you come into an actual workplace. You want to think about uh, how you can get involved, how you can be an asset to the company. And so one of the things that, if there are any questions, I'd love to entertain some if you would have any. But I know that we talked about the casual day. That's very important because I think that as you come into the company, you want to understand what's the protocol, what's the code of conduct for business casual. What is the viewpoints of the company on the business casual, and what days do they have the business casual days? What are the different types of fundraisers that you can be a part of to raise money for the company? What type of involvement do you have? Like for Accenture, they have like a day where they actually go out into the community and they provide services in different areas, and they provide services. They meet at the college. Like this past spring, early spring, they had a day where they actually went to the Howard University and they met there. That was one of the places where they met, and they actually went out into the community to some of the various community locations, and they provided services within the community. Either they gave out clothes, they provided tutoring, they provided information that helps people make career decisions. And so these are some of the things that you can be a part of when you come into different companies, or you can really research and see what types of other things that they do within the community as well. Any questions?
Paul, we do have a question from Willie Blue on Google Plus. He asks, you were talking about professional image in person. What about professional image on social media?
That is so very key to definitely make yourself well known because of the technology piece. I can tell you for Accenture, very involved, but with the social media, you have to be very careful about how you connect yourself with the social media, because you want to make sure that what you're connected to in the social media is reflective of what the company you work for represents. But definitely, I encourage that to make sure that you're well known, and that's another form and another way of connecting, of networking with various other potential business uh, persons as well. So it is very helpful. It is very helpful. Any more questions?
There's a question from Maggie Pollard asking, we've talked a bit about attire. What about your professional image and how you carry yourself, such as slouched shoulders and so on?
You're right. Your posture. Your posture needs to be well positive in how you sit, how you walk, how you talk, how you respond, what types of tones to use when asked various questions. making sure that because the nonverbal expressions are very they can speak very loudly in such ways to where it gives the actual interviewer a kind of inside scope of the individual and how they'll handle pressured situations. So a very good point that you made. Definitely your professional image is very important, how you carry yourself as well. Any more questions? I know one of the times in some interviews you may get questions where people may ask you a series of questions just to see what your response would be, what your thought process would be, and how to handle a situation in a crisis management type of situation. Any more questions? Okay. Now, has what I've shared with you all, has it helped you in any kind of way to kind of give you somewhat of a clearer direction of where you need to go and how you need to approach uh, being prepared for interviews? I'm sure some of you have clearly understand about resumes and how to prepare your resume to make sure it fits the actual job requirements. And then, of course, everything on the resume is truthful as well. It's very important.
I think if I can tune in a little bit, talking about this is overall like your own brand, having a brand. If you look at companies such as, I'll give you an example of UPS, right? UPS, if you look at them, you will never see their delivery guys wearing anything other than the uniform. It's always nice and neat, clean. You know, the pants are never hanging, the shirt is never buttoned, and even the trucks are always clean. Why? Because every time they come back, the first thing they do is really clean the truck. So it's this appearance, the first appearance of how people will perceive you, as Dr. Taylor said before. So the professionalism that you maintain, and make sure to maintain that throughout. So even when you start your businesses and you want to recruit people, depending what you are, if you're going to be a lot of in the space, make sure to have something like this in place in your in an employee handbook or training to be part of your culture, that you maintain professionalism throughout, not only you but also the people that represent you as well.
One of the things I wanted to encourage too is that definitely, of course, there in interviews they're always asked if you have any questions. And what I would suggest that always, whenever I go into a meeting, I always carry a notepad with me to write down information to make sure that I document what has been discussed, and in the same process, in the same way, if I have any questions, I definitely want to make sure that from my note that I'm taking from the actual interview, that I'm able to read through and ask the interviewer questions pertaining to the company, and also to get clarification on various things pertaining to the company, and that lets the interviewer know that your thought process, your thinking, and your processing what's being said, and you're very proactive in what it is that you desire to do and how you can be in that potential position that you may be interviewing for. You may look the part, but it's one thing to look the part and not have the skills to be able to function in that position that you're applying for as well. And so this shows the client that you're able to come in, you're able to be proactive, you're able to deal with things in a multitask way, and you're able to bring results as well. Any more questions?
There is a question from Ben Long. What about sending a handwritten thank you note after the interview? Is this a good practice?
That, I will say, is an excellent practice. That is an excellent practice because, number one, it lets the client know that you really appreciate, lets the interviewer, the company, know that you really appreciate them taking out the time to interview you. And that shows common courtesy and respect for them, and that leaves a great impression. I would encourage that to all, to definitely make sure that you do that. Send a thank you letter. I've been told over the years to do that, and I've done various thank you letters to various companies that I interviewed for. And some of those opened up an even door for me to even come back for a second interview, and possibly some positions even actually get the actual position or the job. Okay, there was a question there. Is it any questions? I think it's from Maggie. It said, "What do you include in the thank you letter?" Is that what that is, Maggie? Yes, basically, you just want to pretty much sum it up to thanking them for allowing you to interview for the position, and you look forward to communicating with them in the very near future pertaining to the position. And of course, you just, in a very professional way, sum it up and just let them know definitely you're concerned about, you're very interested in the position, and again, you will like to just send this letter to just do a follow-up and a thank you. And so that's basically some of it in a rough draft, what you would put in that thank you letter. Any more questions? Usually in those thank you letters too, it also gives the company an opportunity to see your writing skills, to see how well you communicate through documentation as well as verbally communicating, and they can get a chance to kind of foresee some things and how you can fit with the company very well. I know that one of the questions was about the multimedia. I know it was asked earlier, social media, I'm sorry, the social media. I do a lot. You can look on the my web page, and you can see a lot of things that my wife and I have out there, different writings we have, encouraging words, and so we really use the social media to really connect and do networking, and of course people can pretty much see exactly what we're doing. So for me, the social media is definitely a plus. How I'm able to do advertising and marketing and a whole lot of other sorts of different things that are actually going on. For those of you that are really wanting to get known there, you also want to make sure that you put information on LinkedIn about what it is that you're doing, various things, because that's one of the major things that a lot of employers, a lot of companies are looking at and finding a lot of potential people to actually interview and hire for various jobs. And so that's one of the greatest tools to use for networking as well.
Dr. Taylor, one of our participants here, Abina, she didn't have a question, but she said, I now know I have some preparing to do. Is there any tips you have for people that are preparing themselves for these interviews, or that haven't been there before, or they're just starting to get into their professional image?
Well, one of the things you definitely want to do in your preparation for the interview, again, I went over quite a bit of them, and those are some of the basic things, but in your interview, preparing for your interview, again, you want to make sure that you understand, number one, the company that you're actually going to be interviewed by. You want to make sure that in your preparation, you understand the actual position description for the actual potential job that you're applying for, to make sure you understand what's required of that position. You want to make sure that your resume is current. You want to make sure that things are basically all of the various necessary things need to be on your resume. You want to make sure that is updated as well. And you also want to make sure that you're clear on what's required of the position, so that when you go into the interview, you're able to interview well, you're able to give concrete answers, you're able to, in some ways, kind of not take it from them, but take on the responsibility and show that you have the ability to do the job over and beyond. And you always, and this is a thing that I use, you always want to be confident of yourself and of your skill sets, because I'm a firm believer that confidence propels competence. And so you want to make sure that you're a confident, competent individual when you go into the interview. And so always think, I'm very optimistic. The greatest learner is one who's able to learn and absorb information, then be able to apply that information and, again, bring about solutions as well. So those are some of the things that you can do in your preparation for it. Yes, you want to make sure that you do shake hands. I see someone putting that there. That's very important, to give a nice firm handshake, to look the interviewer in the eye when you say hello. and make sure you have good eye contact, because me being a public speaker, I have to have good eye contact with the various persons that I'm actually talking to. And I also like to make sure that I'm clearly understood by the potential person that's interviewing me. And usually when that takes place, there's a nodding of the head to where the potential interviewer will understand what you're saying in reference to the topic of discussion during the interview as well. So I like that from Ben Long. That's a very great point, Ben. Very great point. Any more questions? Are you encouraged to know that when you go into this interview, you're going to give a 5-star interview, top-notch interview, and I believe that can definitely be done by all of those that are listening, and those that will listen to this. Is that you always want to remain positive and confident, and know the actual position that you're going to be interviewed on, understand the way the company functions. Look at, do the research, go through the web page and research the company. And because your objective and your approach is to do a 5-star interview. Any more questions?
Well, sounds great, Dr. Taylor. Thank you very much for being with us today. This will be recorded for everybody who's also following it, so please make sure to share with everybody else, all our members of the veteran community, so everybody else can benefit from this great advice and recommendations and tools. Again, thank you very much for being with us. Tune in again next month, every third Wednesday at 2 p.m. Thank you, and keep entrepreneuring.
Thank you.